All right, this is the Donovan Sadiq Show, the day after Christmas. And for those of you who went into debt to give your kids a great Christmas, I hope it was worth it, because what's his name wants his money, and he wants all of it. So it was a great Christmas for me and my family. We all got together, and I'll be putting the picture up of our annual get-together that we do. We were over at my cousin, the Dixons, and my Aunt Winsome, my mom, Miss Mary, my brother and his fiance, I guess. And this broadcast is kind of special because I have my big brother on the show, reluctantly tell him to come on the show and things like that. So, you know, he has a few things to say about what's going on in Moreno Valley. He's been watching from afar, even though he doesn't live here anymore. So, but, you know, home is always home. And we're just going to, you know, pick his brain and see what he's been up to and tell us what's going on with the war in Afghanistan and how is the Commandant of the Marine Corps and all that other good stuff. So welcome to the show, my brother, Donald Smoke Dog Malloy, veteran, Gulf War vet, hero, all of that. So what's going on?
This is real?
It's real.
Am I on the mic?
You're on the mic.
Hey,
Yeah.
what? Hey?
Yep.
Who's out there?
So where are you at right now as a former pre-Moreno Valley? You're really an Edgemont person because we were here before the city.
That's right. We was here.
We
was here first.
Right. You got to talk to the mic. But now that you're in Biloxi, you're stationed in Biloxi right now. So give us a little background on your military background. Because, you know, for some reason, when I ran for political office, oh, he's not a veteran. Oh, my God. No, look at that. He's too old. Look at that picture. He's in all those Vietnam green. Give us a little background on
Well, I'm going to tell you something, Mean Gene. This is what's been happening. We get all out there and we did our job. And anyway, here's the thing. It is all true. Those of you who don't believe, we are vets. We were here.
Yeah.
We joined the military. We paid our dues. We did what we had to do. We have proof. So don't refute it. If we say we're a vet, we're a vet.
All right, we got an angry black man on the mic, so that's where I get a lot of it. Runs in the family, but no, a little bit about your background. When you were here in Moreno Valley, and when we joined the military, there was a Moreno Valley at that time. We came back in 87, 88.
Yeah, 87.
87, 88. So you waited a year, and you used to work at the home base, the old home base on Ironwood.
Yeah, you remember that, huh?
Yeah, the old home
I see
base.
the building still standing.
Yeah, empty, of course.
Empty.
Of course. So we left for the military the same day. You went to the Marine Corps. I went to the Air Force. So, you know, I know that's one of your biggest regrets being
I should have never left. I should have never left. I'm telling you what. Discipline, honor, courage, and commitment. That is all real. I'm on the other side. I'm on the blue now. Why? Got kids to feed. Can't be a grunt all your life.
There you go.
You're getting old. Kids not as fast, you're not as strong, not as lean, not as mean.
But you're always a Marine.
Always, and it's earned and never given.
Right. Okay, so let me ask you this. As somebody who basically grew up in this neighborhood, there wasn't nothing out here when we were kids. Now, in our city right now, we have a lot of kids that are walking around. They refuse to join the military, but yet they won't work at a warehouse, but yet they won't join the military. What advice would you give them? Because that pretty much was all the only choices we had here. You know, if you really wanted to do something, you know, the base was right there. I mean, how bad could it be, right?
Right. A lot of the opportunities, the kids are going to have to look. Ask yourself, what opportunities do you have? If you can't do this and you can't do that, then what are you going to do? You know, eventually your parents are going to want to move on, and they don't need you tagging along with them.
Unless they're madly in love with you, like most parents are nowadays.
Yeah, I see a lot of that going on.
So what motivated you? Because like when I talk to young people, they say, "Well, I don't want to get killed," and I tell them, "Well, then don't join the Army or the Marine Corps."
Right. You got it. Well, you know, if you go into detail with how the military operates, it's a community within a community. Okay, you have job opportunities in the military, and that's all the branches. You don't join the military because you think you're going to get killed. There's a lot of jobs in the military that puts you in the rear with the gear, and you're going to be safe and all this other stuff. But, you know, if you really want to be somebody, you want to get out there and be ambitious. But if you want to do a military obligation and say that you were there, you know, you can still serve in Afghanistan and Al-Jabal and all those places where there's close to a hot zone, but you're not going to be there. You're just going to be supporting the people that are actually putting in work for the interests of this country.
Right. Now, speaking of putting in, when you were in the Marine Corps, you were a what?
I was an 0311. That was that's a grunt.
A grunt. And but you were a primary electrician as well.
Yeah, I was my MOS trained. My MOS was 1142, which was a electrical equipment repair specialist, but the Marine Corps puts you where they want you. Remember, in the Marines, you are a rifleman, no matter what. Rifleman first. So, yeah, so with all that training that I received, which has college credit, mind you, ended up in a grunt unit.
Right.
But I still remember a lot. I still retain a lot of the information about, electronics and stuff, actually, which kind of helped me out later after I got out.
Right. So once you left the Marine Corps and you joined the Air Force, now you're in the Air Force Reserve, you're Air Reserve technician. You're with the Hurricane Hunters. Now, a lot of people don't understand what the Hurricane Hunters do. What is your primary job as a Hurricane Hunter? And you I see you over there in Barbados and St. Thomas and Hawaii. But you're not flying the plane. You're a jet engine mechanic. So what is your primary? And I saw you on TV on the Weather Channel as well.
Weather Channel when they had the show. Yeah, that was one of the things that when it came to that show, that was where you got to look at the glory of being a pilot or air crew and stuff like that. It's all great and everything, but no one ever really looked behind the scenes at the people that keeps that plane flying. It's all good and great. If I was a pilot, I would have a lot of respect and honor for my maintenance personnel because they're the ones that keeps it flying. I mean, who's gonna if something happens, who's gonna fix something? I only know how to fly, but I chose to be a propulsion specialist because I'm good with my hands. I like cars. I like to tinker. And I like to enjoy the fruits of my labor. So when I turn that key, it starts.
Right. What's one of your pet peeves as somebody who was an air crew member and, flew 130s myself? What's one of your pet peeves when that guy writes up a maintenance discrepancy and it's like maybe just a light bulb or some Velcro? My pet peeve is he thinks he knows what I know. Right.
See, he doesn't know what I know. I give a prime example. Way back once upon a time, we were flying storm missions in Alaska, which was kind of for that. And I hope I don't get in trouble. Anybody know me out there? One of the crew members came back in and the aircraft had an issue. Well, the thing was, he told me what he thought was wrong with it. Mm-hmm. But it's like, sir, I can't diagnose the aircraft or try to fix it if you still have the engines running.
Right.
So it's kind of like, I can tell you, but you wouldn't understand.
Right. Okay.
So I told him to shut down the engine, get another plane.
Right. So basically, piloting language and mechanic language are two different things.
Two different languages, two different animals.
Okay. Gotcha. So you've been in service now how long?
28 years.
28 years. Great. Big family. 2 boys, 2 girls.
Yeah, 2 girls, 2 boys. The girls are older. One graduate college. Mm-hmm. The other one, she got out of vocational school. Mm-hmm. Playing in people's hair. And I got my little one here. He's here in California, and I have my oldest son. He's about to make football stardom, hopefully. Right. Supplement my retirement income. Yeah. Right. I'm sponging off of him.
Right. No. Right. So basically, a lot of these young, and I like to talk to the young people here because it's like they have no hope, and it's like, okay, you don't want to work in a warehouse. You're sitting at home playing Nintendo all doggone day. The military has given you, as an adult, not as a military brat, but as an adult, it's given you opportunity to travel some places that you would have never traveled before, right?
That's right.
Are you put in a combat line as a jet engine mechanic?
No.
Majority of the people in the Air Force and the Navy are they in combat?
That all depends. You don't need mechanics and stuff like that in a forward area unless you're recovering in an aircraft. Okay. There are people specialized for that type of work. So when they have a problem, they'll bring the aircraft back to you in the safe zone.
Right. So when people say, I don't want to join, I might get killed, join the Navy or the Air Force because the majority, I'd say a majority of the personnel are in support role.
That's right.
But if you're in the Marine Corps or the Army, your first job is killer.
Right.
So you got to think about that. So you're going to be down here a week. Well, what do you guys got planned?
Actually, with the weather being as crazy as it is, I love it. Dry. It's cool. Cold. It's, we're going to go to the mountains. We may go down in the LA area, kind of look around a little bit. Just kind of, just see California because it's really beautiful compared to where we're at. We just have trees. Right. Where we're at.
Humidity.
A lot of it.
You guys do. I understand you're on the Olympic food eating team.
No.
Competitive eating.
Recreational eating is what we do in the South, right. And we have the fat bodies to prove it.
Right.
Some of us are holdouts, so we will not, stay in the hog trough too long. But food is good. Cajun cooking, It's better than over here, but hey, I like food here too.
Right. Yeah, you when you first went to In-N-Out Burger, you're a big advocate for In-N-Out Burger. Right?
In-N-Out Burger, we need them. Well, right now we're lacking In-N-Out Burger in the South. They've gone as far as Dallas, Texas. I haven't seen them any further. We need some of y'all to open up some franchises out there in Mississippi and Louisiana.
Right. We're in an area where there's a lot of classic cars, and I understand that you are a big car advocate. A lot of car clubs out here, a lot of things. I mean, unfortunately, because when you transferred out of here, a lot of people lost their kids' college funds because you were supporting a lot of families when you were here. So what kind of cars are you in, and how is it different there than it is here?
It's in the South. I can't speak much of the East. It's almost the same, but I tell a lot of the people in the South, the car culture in Southern California and some of Northern California, I can only speak on Southern, is what I grew up. You and I grew up in, lowriders and stuff like that, and the way they do things to the cars and how they take care of the cars, and it was always a family thing.
Right.
In the South, it's kind of the same. It's not so much. It's more like, to me, more like a retiree type of thing, because everybody's still working and hustling and bustling. We have a big event called the Cruising the Coast, which is big in Biloxi, Mississippi, which spans 3 counties, in Mississippi, along the Gulf Coast, so to speak. And it's cars from all the surrounding states. Some come from as far as Arizona. They bring their car down here and they just cruise on the big stretch of beach we have. It's nothing compared to PCH or anything like that, but it's good enough for the South. So we usually have in excess of 5,000 to 7,000 cars registered down there cruising the coast. And everybody's always invited. Of course, if you want to be a registered, it's going to cost you a little bit, but not an arm and a leg. And there's just thousands of varieties of cars out there. And the city's having a hard time trying to keep up and everybody happy, because we're still recovering from Katrina. And a lot of the commerce has kind of moved inland. So it's a little different than what we're used to from prior 2005 Katrina hurricane.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. You're down there in the South. We're all car people out here in the desert. It's the perfect environment to have if you're into cars, because every time I check up on you and call on you, you're always this part rusted off or that part.
Yeah, that's one thing. Humidity is a car killer. Especially the older cars. The newer cars, not so much, because they kind of dip them in that rust preventative compound or whatever. But that's just part of keeping you busy, is having to fight the rust and fight corrosion and stuff like that for cars. That goes with the territory. So.
Right. As in car support down there. I mean, how is the support like right here? It could be a Sunday, and if you need upholstery, there's somebody that knows how to do upholstery.
Yeah.
You can get your stuff. I mean, there's a lot of clean cars here.
Yes.
Down there, how is the support in regards to the classic car industry?
Well, and to be honest with you, and again, being that I've lived out here a while when I was in the cars, I was able to see that there's a lot of competition with a lot of the car industries. Out there, not so much. There's probably some areas, but they're kind of far away. And I've been having a difficult time trying to get stuff done, like chrome plating places. I've already looked last night. I looked on my phone. I said, find me a chrome plating shop. There was 3 of them just around here.
Right here. Right, exactly.
And where I'm at, it's like, okay, I'm going to have to go to Houston, Texas, which is a 6-hour drive, or I may have to go to Florida. That's a 10-hour drive. So it is hard, and I don't really trust the mail system, because your stuff can get damaged or it can come up missing, and sometimes if you're not right there within an hour's drive of your stuff, you car enthusiasts know what I'm talking about. You want to be where you can get to your car ASAP.
Right. Now, speaking of cars, what kind of cars do you have?
Well, I got lucky and scored.
What kind of cars have you had in your career?
Oh, well, if I can name a few that were my favorites. When I lived here, I had a 67 Dart GT. And I missed that thing. That was fun. I got my doors blown off. I thought I had something in the motor, and I went up on this guy on one of the streets here, and I ain't going to name those streets. It was a while back. He had a 72 Nova, and his sounded good, but I thought I was better. And yeah, I never did make it to the other light. I had to pull off. I was so shamed. But I was learning how to tinker with cars then. And now I know better. My other car, I scored when I left here and ended up in Slidell, Louisiana, was a 1972 Plymouth Barracuda. Now, a lot of us guys can share this same sad story. Why did I sell that car? Well, yeah, I sold it. Child support, you know what I'm saying? I sold it
to support those
and
kids.
regret it to this day, because if I would have kept it, now that I've got better job, better occupation stuff, making a little bit more money, I could have restored that car. And if I decided to sell it, I could have made probably $25,000, $30,000 just for the car itself. Presently, I have the 1954 Chevy Bel Air. And that's a slow progress. It still runs and drives. I got it from here.
You've been working on that car for how many years, though? You're talking about slow. That's been slow.
Yeah, it's slow because, again, with the lack of the industry and, of course, lack of money, it's a slower process. But see, it's really the weirdest thing, and I tell everybody the story. Why is it that I'll move from an area that has an industry, and then I end up getting the cars that I want in an area where there's no industry. And it's like, okay, now what do I do? Now they just sit there. So to me, it's a stressor, that I have to deal with as far as, do I need to order this part, or do I need to go ahead and drag? I even had to buy a trailer just in case I get a bug and say, you know what, forget this. I'm driving down to Houston just to get some upholstery done. Right. Not saying Houston's the only spot, but
to you, proximity wise. So let me ask you this, and as far as cars and classics, because whenever you see me videos and I see everybody down there's got a Cutlass.
But yeah, that's the same way down here too.
yeah. I mean, you've been doing cars for a long time, so which would make you basically an expert. You've been in the game for a long time. Our Cutlasses. I mean, I'm seeing kids with rims on the car that's worth more than the car. Yep. And that's all they do to it. They put a rim on it and they say, okay, it's a Cutlass.
Yeah. It's almost like wearing dirty clothes, but you got some brand new, what's the new shoe that the kids are wearing these days?
Oh, the little light shoe or something like that.
Or
the Jordan 3000s.
Yeah. But yet his pants are old, outdated, and tattered. He needs a haircut. Right. But the shoes are mighty fine. Right. So, to me, that's what I see. But again, growing up in the old car culture, there's priorities you have to take care of when you're dealing with a car. You work from the inside out. Right. Your stereo system and rims are the last thing you need to worry about when you're having cars like that, because the real expense is keeping it running and, keeping it drivable.
Right. Yeah. I went to the Phoenix Car Show last year, I think it was. And, I saw some cars that had wires, coming out of the radio section and, whatever. But the thing is, if you look at the engine, the important stuff, that was all chromed.
Yeah. See, that's fine. That's fine.
But you can tell this person it's a work in progress. He's not worried about the radio. That's the last, his rims, he had the custom rims, whatever. Yeah. He's working on that. But these younger kids who try to get into the car game, and it's unfortunate you don't see a lot of young kids into like your club, because they and this is my opinion, they don't want to take advice.
No, they don't. And what it is, I can't really get with them, and I'm not trying to sound prejudiced to certain cars, but I have my favorites. They have their favorites. And I know we went from lowriders to muscle to total, whatever. But the thing is, American history, when it comes to the automotive industry, is when you do have a vintage vehicle and you restore it back to its specs. I can see maybe putting in a little bit something to make it more efficient, fine. But when they take a car that doesn't really need, so much restoration, and you put rims on it that belongs on a truck, the rims are like, 80, 90 pounds? Right. But, the kids don't realize, it looks cool. Yeah, the stress is on the spindle or the bearing. And it's like, kid, do you realize what's going to happen when you do make a bad turn and, whatever? Because I've seen this coming home from work. A kid, Cutlass, mind you. It was a Cutlass, or was it a Delta 88? Can't stand those cars. Everybody's got them. He had, and I guess that's what they call the donk, because it's got the rims. Bad paint job, had a little smoke coming out the tailpipe. He thought he was fly. He had a sound system that sounded like garbage because it was all treble.
Yeah, all treble.
And he made a turn. He made a left turn going onto the other street. And we were waiting for our turn, right? Just when he made the turn, the spindle, the right front spindle broke, and that wheel tucked right under that car and caused a traffic jam, of course. He didn't know what to do, did not have a jack because the booming system or the speakers were in the back, in the trunk where he couldn't get to stuff. The car was stuck. Okay. You know, and I just kind of slowed and I looked and I just shook my head. I didn't say that to him. I just shook my head and I'm saying, you know, I guess that's what happens with this new culture. You know, it's like, this is what we're going to deal with. Do it right. If you're going to do it right. That's why, kids, you got to read. Do your research.
And to get into classic cars like that, I mean, the bottom line is it does cost a lot of money. I mean, this isn't bus token type stuff. This is a hobby. Yes. Correct.
And a lot of people say, and you know what? It is a money pit. Because you're searching, you're spending money. People are like, why are you blowing your money on this thing? It's whatever, but you know,
everybody's got their vices.
Yeah, and it's history. I have a piece of history, you know, because older people that are still around to say, I remember my dad had one of those. You know, come to find out, it was his dad's car that he sold a long time ago. But the thing is, it's the nostalgia. California has brought it back. Yeah, everybody's following suit.
Right? Have you noticed that the California brought back the black plates?
I saw that. I saw that. And what I don't like to see is a new car with black plates.
Right. But
because it's like, whatever, you know, it's like, come on now. Yeah. Let's keep things original. If you want a black plate, you know, put it on an old car. Right. But that's just me.
But California had black plates.
That's right.
So they're bringing them back. Speaking of stereos, since we're talking about stereos and stuff, let's go back to a little history because, you know, you are history here in Moreno Valley. Mino Stereo has been in business 27 years. Now, you were around when Nino's opened that little shack on the corner over there on Ellsworth. That little like rim. It was like that little shop he had over there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I went in there many times.
Yeah.
I was into the booming system, you know, and I got some stuff from there.
Right. But he's been in business 27 years. He expanded a little bit. He's going to be a little bit more. Big supporter of the radio show here and things like that. So here's a guy that actually was there, witnessed this when he first opened. I mean, and you know, and if you don't have the hookup from the homies, it's kind of makes it hard when you need that radio to go to this or that or this. So.
Yeah, you need experts. You need people that are big in that aspect of the industry, especially the stereos. Because hey, you don't know a blue wire from a red wire from a white wire, yellow wire. Hey, you leave it to the experts that tell you, and they can recommend different brands, and they have their hands in the industry as far as the different types of stereos and stuff like that. Right, Crutchfield, you know.
But also as a car club person, when you hook up with some of the people in the industry, they will have you highlight their systems in your car.
Yes. You know, it's nothing like sponsorship. Nothing like
exactly. So you know,
it's an honor.
Yeah. So you were around for Mino's back in the day when he first opened, and you know, and the funny thing is when I tell people that story, you know, don't get me wrong, listeners, those that are listening. I know it is very rare to run into a black person that is actually from here, but we're actually from here.
Yeah, you know? I remember in this subdivision. Remember when we wanted to get some ice cream?
Right.
We had to walk across to Boulevard. It was all
Sunny
construction.
Boulevard to the Thrifties.
Yeah, to the Thrifties. I was over because everything between our subdivision and there was all grass. and everything was under construction. Right. That was Moreno Valley High School wasn't even there.
No, Moreno Valley High School was there. It's been there for a long time. But
it was?
Yeah, but we had to cross around it.
It was behind it. Yeah. That's right. All those homes that were behind it weren't there.
Right.
That's right.
Right. So, you know, we've been here a long time. So when people doubt our citizenship and things like that, you know, I kind of have to laugh because there are a few of us that are still around of a certain age. I know we're getting in our 50s and stuff like that, but again, there are some of us that, you know, have been around here for a long time and have seen. But you know, you've been visiting, and I've been giving you posts of what's happening around the area. Yeah,
I missed that fruit stand. Yeah, that was right down there in Edgemont off of is that 15?
Yeah, I guess it would be almost parallel to Cottonwood if you go across across the way. So, you know, you were there with the original old 215 highway, which is 395. You know,
oh, really? That's what it is now?
Yes.
Oh.
Well, no, the 395 is historic. They brought the 395 back.
Wow.
To be historic. That's what I'm saying. These car clubs are big now. I mean, everybody's going into nostalgia. Wow. So you need to bring your cars back and enjoy Route 66 and all that other good stuff like that.
I would love to drive it.
Right. So being a jet mechanic, is it possible that you can transfer? Well, let me ask you this, because your situation is a little different. A lot of people don't understand how the air reserves work like that. You are a air reserve technician. Now, what is the difference between that and being in the military? in itself.
Well, it's almost like the Guard, except that our federal classification is wage grade compared to GS. It's just like that. We're pretty much federal workers. But what we do as far as arts, Air Reserve Technician, the same thing we do every day. We're in civilian status when we're Air Reserve Technicians. Of course, we're wearing a uniform. We shouldn't, and then when we do our reserve weekend or our annual tour or whatever, it's the same job. It doesn't change.
Yeah. So basically, and I try to explain this to people, in an airlift squadron, you just can't shut the squadron down for a month and then open it up and just say, okay, go ahead and fly, because things change. Things change. And you need people there to keep the unit going. Always. So if I was a mechanic back in my original MOS, I was a crew chief, and I came to the unit on the weekend or even during the week when I'm doing my 2 weeks, I would go to you to make sure that, and you would be training me saying, well, this is what's happening, or this is what's changed.
Yes.
Because I have a real job in the real world.
Right.
Where this is your job.
Yeah.
On a daily basis.
And, and in different branches, they have different names for it. Even though I'm an Air Reserve Technician, I think the Marines have a thing called full-time service, where you are still a reservist, but you're actually operating on orders, active duty type of thing. Yeah. And this is kind of a permanent thing. Right. And then you still do your reservation. And then what we do is we're just kind of we're like instructor, inspector type deal, but we still got to work.
Right.
So when we have our reservists that come in, we're spooling them up and keeping them trained and getting them ready for deployments and stuff like that. So I would be more of the teacher, and they would be the pupil. So let me ask you this. How can I tell the difference between you as a civilian that day versus an active duty person? You can't, because...
can't you grow a beard and grow your hair out?
No, we have to actually maintain follow the customs and courtesies.
Doesn't that go against the Geneva Conventions?
Yes, it does. It does.
So you're basically a war criminal.
Yeah, if we had somebody that had the cojones to push the issue, yes. But there is an ongoing issue right now with a unit in the North Carolina that actually won an arbitration, and it's just two issues. And the issues is something that I would like people to kind of see and check out themselves. And, it's Title 10, USC 772, which is the civilian wear of the military uniform. The question was that lawful for the organization to force civilians to wear the uniform? I mean, if it was lawful, it needs to say that. If you look it up, the only three things that are allowed is Boy Scouts, retirees on special duty for funerals and stuff like that, and the Guard. Right. It doesn't say anything about reserve technicians wearing the uniform. Right, because the Air Reserves falls under the Air Force itself. All their rules and regulations fall under the Air Force itself. Exactly. But if you read the Geneva Conventions in the Articles of War, if I'm a soldier and I put on civilian clothes, I'm now a war criminal because I'm a combatant. Yes. And I'm hiding. I can't do that, and vice versa. When civilians put on military clothes, I'm allowed to shoot them in a combative environment. So I'm seeing a lot of confusion with that, and I've been kind of following it. The gray area has actually broadened itself. So, and a lot of people, I mean, in my opinion, my humble opinion, a lot of people are kind of like turning a blind eye to what's right. Right. That's my opinion, I'm saying that because that's how I feel, and that's what I see. Because with professionalism, you got to be 100% efficient in what you do and what you say. Right. So you need to, if you are in that realm of investigating and following the regulations and the rules, it needs to be enforced. It's in black and white. Yes. Simple as that. Because because the difference between me and you when I was an active reservist on orders all the way through. So that's right. So I had to wear a uniform and conform. There's a lot of confusion there, but a lot of people get it confused when you try to explain that. And what, and if I was a civilian looking at it, I'd be like, well, wait a minute, you're wearing a uniform just like this guy. Exactly. So I don't. Yeah. What's the difference here? Well, my thing too about that, and it's funny sometimes because I'll tell a lot of active duty members who don't have air reserve technicians at their base, and when they come visit our base, they kind of ask, And they'll say, hey, Sergeant. I said, I'm not a sergeant. He goes, you're wearing a uniform. I said, I'm not a sergeant. What do you mean? I'm an Air Reserve technician. They don't know what that is. Well, why don't they just put a name tape that says ART or something like that? Or your wage grade? Yeah, well, strangely, those uniforms are out there. But when we brought it up with our union to present to higher authority, They didn't want to hear it. They were like, whatever. We just the commanding general at that time.
You will be.
Yeah, it was a total force, one force type of deal. So, but you got to kind of look at the protocol. There's protocol in everything that we do, especially government. You know,
right? So, so even though you're a civilian, is it possible that you can transfer different bases and things like that? Just like a
oh yeah. It's
if there's an opening.
Yeah, if there's an opening, and that's the thing. You still have to compete. For federal jobs, just like everybody else, you know, so, and USA Jobs is the only way you can do it.
So, you know, we have a C-130 base over at Oxnard, and, you know, you can come over to March.
Too far.
But, you know, I mean, you know, your plans looking forward. I mean, you know, even though we see a lot of things here in Moreno Valley, I mean, looking forward and, you know, where you're going in your career and stuff like that, do you see yourself moving back to California or...
Yeah, getting out of the area. Yes, I would love to come back to California. You know, I like the C-17s. It's home is here. This is home for me, and this is where I'd rather be. I should have never left. But if I don't make it, I will definitely get close.
Arizona, New Mexico. I like New Mexico myself, but. All right, cool, man, cool. So you know, you guys are going up to the mountains. You guys are doing all that. A lot of snow on the mountains. You know, anything else outside of you guys got any plans going into Hollywood, things like that? Yeah,
we're going to try to make the best of it.
San Diego?
I'm trying to figure out what we didn't do the last time we were here.
Right.
But the mountains for sure. You know, we're going to try to do some snowboarding. I don't know if I can handle it like I used to. I can't get big air like I used to, you know, now.
Yeah,
so, you know.
Yeah. So you pretty much stay to the ground.
Yeah, I'm just going to watch everybody else wipe out and stuff and throw a couple of snowballs.
Cool.
We'll probably go tubing.
Cool. So, and in closing, you have how many years before you retire, military versus your civilian?
Well, really, I have like 2029. You know, but I've already got my 20 years military.
All you got to do is make one mistake, and it's all taken from you.
Yep. So it's all about, you know, keep your nose to the grindstone and don't make too many waves.
Right, house Negro. You got to turn into a house Negro immediately.
That's right.
Okay,
That's right. You got to. You know, it's like, look, hey, but me, I said, I'm hands off.
Right,
you know,
not involved and stuff like that. Well,
cool. I got about 9 years. So
right, and then you know, like I said, and the reason I bring that up because a lot of these young people, especially in the city now, I mean, when they complain, I laugh because when we were here, there was nothing.
Yeah.
Now at least they have something here. Warehousing, I know ain't the ideal, but what are you skilled for?
Exactly, and that's something that they have to do. It's like, what do you like to do? If you're into playing with cell phones and computers, go into that field,
right?
You know, because it's all about the technology. You had said something to me in one of our conversations about automation. Mm-hmm. They're going to need technicians to fix
the robots.
Yeah, because even though the robots are going to replace half the population, working force,
more than half if they can.
Yeah, you know, they're going to need technicians.
Right.
I mean, there's movies out there that show it. You know, you got a handful of people working on 100 robots. And
well, speaking of technicians and robotics, okay, you're working on a plane now. When C-130 came out, there was 5 people in the cockpit.
Oh yeah.
So how many are there now?
There's only 3.
Well, the loadmaster doesn't count.
If you want to count the loadmaster,
he doesn't count. So there's really only 2, and eventually there's going to be 1, and eventually there's going to be 0.
Exactly. And again, with the technology today, and again, kids, listen to this. The technology today, they need specialists to maintain all those little trinkets and components and gadgets and all stuff. Those require highly skilled people. You got to go to school and you got to get into that field because everything that you do, get your certification because everything everything that dwells around that requires human hands.
Well, I remember when I was a mechanic, you know, we had to remove and replace it, but you had to do a little searching. Yeah. Now you're on the C-130J and the H and the E mod. You know, you can pretty much fix any plane. It doesn't matter what the plane is. Just you're predominantly a Herc guy. But on the J model, the computer tells you what's wrong with it.
And that is the technology.
Right.
It's just, there's sensors all over the thing. It knows how it feels. It knows what it wants. Mm. You are requesting from it what you want it to do. You're not telling it like on the E's and the H models, like, I want to go full throttle.
Right.
You said, it's supposed to give it to you. You request full throttle. It says,
I can't
maybe.
Give it to you. I can't give it to you.
Yeah. And this is why, you know. But the beauty of it, again, is the technology made life a lot easier for the mechanic because the real mechanic has to diagnose a plane that won't talk to you. It knows that there's something wrong with it, but your expertise, you got
to maybe take it apart completely and rebuild it back.
You have to know what you're doing. And these new aircraft, they're great, they're powerful, they're fast, they're efficient. Hey, it'll tell you. And
it's not just airplanes. It could be an auto mechanic. Same concept.
Same concept.
So let me ask you this: how much can a technician make that does what you do in the civilian world? If you got your AAP light, I know if you work for the airlines, that's like $25 an hour starting.
Right.
I don't know if that's enough to live in California, but still. Right. But like you said, you have to be prepared for these type jobs. I mean, there is no participation trophy in life.
Right.
So
and we're old school, so we know what that's like. We played sports and been on teams and been, and just competing, and then you don't win.
Right.
And you have to walk away.
Right. And work harder.
That's it.
But unfortunately, you got these kids sitting here and you're asking, well, I'm unemployed. I can't find a job. There's plenty of jobs at the warehouse. They don't want to work at the warehouses. They don't want to work at McDonald's.
I'd rather have something than nothing. Yeah.
But no, when mommy and daddy's going to take care of it for me, why worry? I can sit on the couch all day. I'll move in with my girlfriend, so. Yeah. Well, that's cool, man. Like I said, man, I've been longing to have you on the show. We're live here. If you ever come to Moreno Valley, please get out. Do not come here. We are a warehouse city. And I mean, it is still a great place to visit, but you don't want to live here. And it's really hard to visit. But you want to do any shout out to your boys listening over there in Biloxi and Keesler Air Force Base?
Yeah, well, a lot of those guys they're always into the thing and stuff. So if I had to say, I just want to have a shout out to the Hurricane Hunters and 403rd and 803rd. And that's all I have to say about that.
You got to say about that. You ain't gonna give a shout out to your girl, nothing, huh? Your kids, nothing.
No, that's private right there. If y'all gonna come, if somebody is listening, gonna come down on me, y'all ain't gonna know nothing. All right, come at me.
All right on. Well, like I said, that's my big brother, and we try to get him to come out at least once a year, which is pretty much all he's averaging. And after his son rotates back to wherever base they're going, you probably want to see my brother at all. Unless he's, involved in a car show of some kind. So, but this has been the Donovan Sadiq Radio Show. We're going to take a break, pay some bills. Mino Stereo, been in business 27 years, big supporter of the show. If you need the hookup, go to Mino Stereo. He is open all the time. He's closed on Sundays, but hey, if you got his personal number, he'll probably hook you up if you're a good customer. And tell him you heard it right here on the radio show. I've got me, Donovan Sadiq. We're going to be right back. I want to thank my brother, Donald Malloy Jr. And he was my inspiration up. Of course, I had to lead him a lot, but he was the shy one. I was the outgoing one, as you guys can tell. But maybe you can't tell now because now he's on the radio and he's like, the hell with it. So, but Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we'll see you guys in a little bit. We'll be right back after these messages.